Today we're going to be covering the basics regarding ADHD. So, what is ADHD? ADHD is a condition that affects the brain, how it functions, how it processes information. There are different types of ADHD. We have three. The first type is inattentive ADHD. What is inattentive ADHD? Inattentive ADHD primarily presents as attention difficulties. This will look like a child who struggles to pay attention. They're unable to focus on a task for an extended period of time without getting distracted. They struggle with distractibility in general, which also can look like daydreaming, where they can't help but zone out, even when they should be listening. So it can also look like they don't listen, even when you are speaking to them directly. These are also children who tend to lose things. They will lose items at school, they will lose their lunchbox, lose items in the home, lose their toys, not be able to find them, forget where they put them, which goes hand in hand with forgetfulness. They are very forgetful. They forget instructions that you've told them, they forget their routines. It will feel like every day you have to keep on telling them the same thing. And it will be frustrating for a parent with a child like this because ultimately it just looks like they don't listen. These are children who are generally compliant. They don't really present with behavior problems. They are cooperative with their parents. They listen. They follow the rules. They don't present with any disruptive or behavioral types of issues. These are children who will typically go undiagnosed until later on in their childhood or even until adulthood because it doesn't necessarily look like anything is wrong with them. They appear to be typical, except for their academic difficulties. And nobody will really understand why this child is struggling in school because everything else about them seems to be okay. So these are the children who will find themselves struggling academically because of their attention difficulties. They will underperform even if they try their best, even if they're doing their homework, even if they are putting effort into doing the things that are required of them. Somehow they just find themselves struggling. This is what inattentive ADHD looks like, which can slip through the cracks because children like this find themselves feeling frustrated because they're trying, because they're going through the extra lessons, they're doing their homework, but they just can't seem to get it. And when it's time to sit down and study and focus on their books, they especially struggle. The misconception about ADHD is that if a child is able to focus on a task they enjoy, then they don't necessarily have attention difficulties. But the thing that we need to understand is that the marker of ADHD is not being able to focus on tasks that you need to do, tasks that are boring to you, but that are necessary for you to do, such as homework or chores. Children with ADHD will typically be avoidant of tasks that they don't enjoy because they don't want to do anything that will require mental exertion. So tasks that don't require mental exertion, they're usually happy to do and are able to do without any difficulties. But tasks that require mental exertion, they will even struggle to complete. So you will see them struggle to finish tasks, finish their homework. Homework that should take 15 minutes might take 45. So these are your children who, when it's time for you to sit down and focus on a task and not be distracted by anything else, they genuinely struggle. They will sit for 5 minutes before they want to take a break and get up. Suddenly, they want to talk about something else, or they're daydreaming, or they want to tell you about their day because now it's time to focus on a task. This is when you can see those attention difficulties start to show up. These are kids who will also avoid tasks like doing chores that have multiple steps, because that will require of them to remember the steps of a task, and they will forget the steps. Should you tell them this is what you're going to do in the house and multiple steps are required of them, these are your children who will do step one of the task, but then they will forget step two. These are children who, for example, when it's time to get dressed in the morning, when they're becoming more independent, they will know that they have to put on their pants, but then they will forget to zip their pants. They will put on their shoes, but forget to tie their shoelaces. So this is where you see the forgetfulness come through. This is where you get to see the memory issues come through, where they are forgetting how to do the task. They forget what their routine is supposed to look like. They will know that in the morning when it's time to wake up for school, they have to brush their teeth, brush their hair, put on their shirt. But every morning it will seem as though they forget or they get their steps mixed up. They might eat their breakfast, but for example, forget to pack their books in their school bag. So these attention difficulties show up as forgetfulness, because a child who can't pay attention is a child who will inevitably have memory challenges, because if they can't pay attention, they also will struggle to remember whatever it is that you communicate with them. So my encouragement to a parent with a child with inattentive ADHD is be patient with them. They genuinely are trying. They are just as frustrated as you are about the fact that they are struggling to remember, about the fact that they can't get it right. So I would encourage you to encourage them. Let them know that you see their efforts. Give them positive reinforcement. Tell them that I see that you're trying. Give them affirmation. And then you help them to correct the behavior. So tell them that I see that you're trying. I see your efforts. Well done, little Johnny. But now let me help you. This is how you're supposed to do this. So pair the positive reinforcement along with the correction of the behavior. Explain to them, even if this is something that has to happen daily, eventually with the repetition, they will begin to remember. Children with ADHD benefit from repetition, but it has to be paired with compassion, because if they're constantly getting yelled at, that affects their self-esteem, and then that will also create anxiety, which will affect their ability to remember. If a task causes them anxiety, this will affect a child's performance in a task. So my encouragement to parents with a child that has inattentive ADHD is to support them. Let them know that you see their effort. Let them know that you see that they're trying, and ask them how you can support them. Show them that you are willing to help them participate in a task. And to you, mom or dad, I want you to know that your efforts are seen. I want you to know that you are valued, that you matter, and that everything that you do for your child counts, even when you can't see it. Okay.